Hello everyone. This video is created by myself, Diya Patel, as well as my partner, Raj Parikh. We'll be informing you on the topic of the ecosystem. An ecosystem is a community of life. In an ecosystem, living organisms with small or big differences coexist, interact, and depend on each other. These interactions could involve simply living in the same place or depending on each other as a food source. The ecosystem consists of multiple biomes. There are grasslands, forests, rainforests, deserts, savannas, taiga, tundra, lake, river, and marine biomes. Biomes are home to millions of animals and plants genetically designed to survive the individual circumstances of each type of climate. The ecosystem can be defined as the link between each biome. Each biome and its species is important to protect, because even if one falls apart, the entire ecosystem and all the biomes fall apart too. It's also worth noting that us humans actually have a biome within our bodies as well. It is known as our microbiome, and it contains trillions of viruses, protozoa, eukaryotic cells, archaea, and predominantly bacteria that rely on each other, primarily concentrated in our gut. It is important to keep your microbiome healthy, because just like how an imbalance in the environmental biomes can cause trouble on the planet, an imbalance in the microbiome causes troubles in the body. Moreover, our internal body ecosystem directly interlinks with the outside ecosystem. Any changes in the outside ecosystem will directly impact our internal ecosystem, which will in turn affect our health. Interdependence is the idea that every living being has at least one connection to another living source in order to survive. Every animal or plant is linked to something else, meaning that if one being goes extinct, there are consequences for many species. The food chain refers to a single sequence of dependence, but interdependence is really the complex connections between several food chains. Most species belong to several food chains, meaning that there are many food chains that are affected rather than a single one if one being goes extinct. So, why is the ecosystem so important? Life needs life to sustain life. That's the food chain in its essence. The food chain on the screen depicts how a fox still needs a simple plant to survive, despite not needing to directly eat the plant itself. What if a species goes extinct? Any type of animal or plant can go extinct depending on its circumstances. Some of these plants and animals can be at the top of the food chain, some can be at the bottom, and most are in the middle. If a higher-end animal goes extinct, lower-end animals and plants lose a way to regulate their growth, which can cause overpopulation. If a lower-end plant or animal goes extinct, the higher-end animals lose food source and could begin to starve. If the organism belongs in the middle of the food chain, both overpopulation and starvation come into effect. Effects of overpopulation. Lack of food. If there is too much of a group of animals or plants for the ecosystem to handle, there won't be enough nourishment to provide for everyone, causing starvation. Wandering. Large crowds of animals will force some within the group to stray away to places that they aren't supposed to go. For example, the deer on the screen has wandered away from its group and is now on the road, where it definitely shouldn't be. Excessive feeding. The more the animals, the more they will eat. This can end up harming other species, possibly causing further extinction. For example, you can see that there is an overcrowding of caribou, which also causes the grass that they eat to be patchy and unhealthy because of how much they eat it. Disease. If there is an overcrowding of plants or animals, naturally they will be very close to each other. Then, if disease does strike, it will be much easier and faster for the disease to travel between each individual plant or animal. Now that we know why each species is crucial in the intricate web of interdependence, we should also know that there are several organisms in a severe state of endangerment, meaning that they are at a very high risk to become extinct. Some of the species that are endangered or facing decline include the black rhino, blue whale, orangutan, red panda, monarch butterfly, chimpanzee, coral plant, pitcher plant, corpse plant, importantly the honeybee, and several more. If you were to look at this graph by The Guardian, you can see the classes of living species at the highest risk for extinction. In this graph, also by The Guardian, we truly see the extent to which us humans have negatively impacted our planet. Due to our activity, there has been an 82% decline in wild mammal population, 47% decline in natural ecosystems, 23% decline in land species, and 25 of our discovered plants and animals are threatened with extinction. We have managed to do this in several ways. Firstly, we are interfering with the food chain. Humans are frugivores, which means that we are genetically designed to consume a diet that primarily consists of fruit. For proof, let's compare our teeth with the teeth of other animals. Both carnivores and omnivores have extremely large and long canine teeth, while we do not. These teeth are designed for ripping and tearing tough substances, primarily meat. Our canine teeth are much smaller, meaning that as we don't have the genetic tools to eat it, we aren't supposed to be consuming meat. Our teeth also do not match up with the grass and grain-eating herbivores, because while we only have molars in the back of our mouth, grass and grain-eating herbivores have molars throughout their mouth, creating large and flat teeth throughout, designed for grinding and mashing leaves. Our teeth do partially support the system, however not entirely so, because we have smaller and sharper teeth in the front called incisors, designed for biting into fruit. This can lead us to our final class of animals, frugivores. You can see on the picture of the chimpanzee on the screen just how similar their teeth are to ours. There are molars in the back, small canine teeth, and incisors in the front. Chimpanzees are frugivores, and not only do their teeth replicate ours, so does the general makeup of their digestive systems, further cementing the fact that we too are frugivores, and that we should be adopting a primarily fruit diet, rather than the omnivorous diet that most of us consume. Why is this important? Because currently, humans are at the top of nearly every single food chain that exists. If we aren't genetically designed to eat animals or animal products, but we're doing anyways, we're interfering with a millions of years old system that is supposed to be a cycle of animals and plants, rather than a one-way road that leads to a single species, us humans. The next way we are harming the ecosystem is by how overpopulated we are as a species. In the mid-1800s, the population was barely 800 million people. Now, as of 2021, the world population has shot up to 7.9 billion people. That means that in less than 250 years, the number of people in the world multiplied itself close to 10 times over. The two primary reasons for this are progress in medicine and agriculture. Progression in the medications that we give people allow for them to live longer, and while this definitely isn't a bad thing, in technical terms it does allow for more people to occupy space on the planet. Next, advancements in the way plants are grown cause a greater amount of produce being made, which ends up creating more food for people to eat. The easier it is to feed people, the more people there will be. And the more people there will be, the less room there is for the other species that originally did exist on the planet. Overpopulation already has a clear effect on humans, as it contributes to poverty and starvation in places where there are too many people for land to support. Furthermore, an increase of sickness is evident in direct correlation to the growth of our population. We chop down our trees and disturb animals to make room for our rapidly growing numbers, which in turn harms the ecosystem. The chopping of trees contributes to climate change, and with higher temperatures, diseases thrive. Animals more likely to survive disturbances, such as rats and bats, are also more likely to spread disease. A clear example of this happening could be COVID-19. As the disease originated with bats, it spread fastest and was the worst in places of high population, and it was made to be much worse due to our rising temperatures. Pollution plays a huge role in the decline of our ecosystem. Not only can animals get physically stuck in items that cannot decompose naturally, such as plastic or metal, certain chemicals can melt or dissolve into soil and water itself, and harm or kill plants and animals. Properly disposing of your recyclables and liquid chemicals is incredibly important for this reason. How to help endangered species. 1. Tell others about species you feel need help and explain how to help them, because people can't do much if they don't know about a problem or its solution. 2. Volunteer at local wildlife centers to do your part in keeping the animals and plants in your personal community safe. 3. Often, our houses do occupy space where animals are supposed to live, so you might want to thank them by doing some extra measures. Feed and give water to birds with bird feeders and baths, though you should clean the bird feeder and bird bath regularly to avoid spreading disease. Placing decals on your glass windows is also important, as this makes glass more visible to birds, millions of which die yearly by hitting windows. Try to plant lots of flowers as well, because this attracts pollinators, many of which are facing decline, such as the monarch butterfly and honeybee. In order to make your favorite products at a cheap price, many companies put animals and plants and wildlife under harm. Before buying certain items, do some research into the companies that manufacture them to make sure they're environmentally sustainable. On screen is a palm plant, and one example of a product to avoid is palm oil, because in order to collect and sell it, companies are cutting down important forests that houses several endangered species like tigers, orangutans, and elephants, as well as plants. 5. We've explained why, genetically, humans shouldn't be eating most of the things that we do. Our bodies aren't actually designed to handle their digestion, and you'd not only be doing your own health a favor, but also be protecting animals and plants by going plant-based. These are our references, and a big thank you for watching our video.